Okay, so basically, I guess we'll start with the prelude that kind of establishes everything. So Killian Kelly is an Irish gangster in 1922, played by Kyle. Your character comes from a pretty big family. You know a whole lot more about that than I do because you worked out like an entire family tree.
I've got like 13 people created so far.
You've got like 13. You've created more NPCs than I have actually for this bootlegging game that we're doing. Killian was a veteran of World War One. During World War One, he was either in a unit with at some point, or however, it's not really been established, but he met Eddie Agresta, an Italian who we haven't really established a whole lot of background on, which isn't really important, but after the war, Eddie ended up coming to Killian's hometown and kind of helping start up a whiskey business with him.
Right.
We're in 1920, so we're in the height of Prohibition. Killian and his family, let's see, basically your cousins have a barley farm, is that it? Like they farm their own barley, or how do they get...
Yes, they're, I guess, feed farmers
Okay.
for all the livestock in the area.
And but they also, in the barn, they create mash, which basically they take, you know, a lot. You actually did a pretty big paper on whiskey, but yeah. So if you wanted to talk about that, I guess how the whole operation works, because.
See, we've got the majority of the Kelly family lives on this farm. We've got, let's see if I can find the right page here. There we go. And we've got Llewellyn, Cody, and Cavan all are the actual children of the farming family there. They've got, you know, a number of cousins that live with them. And their father's dead, so they never really got any chance to leave the farm. They're pretty much locked into that for life. And
well, I mean, it's a good business. They get kickbacks from what you do because they're family,
Right.
they're blood. So why leave? But basically, they take the barley and they ferment it. They create mash, which
Right.
which then you transport to your friend Mac Delaney, who you grew up with, childhood friend and neighbor. Maybe his parents owned another farm nearby. We never kind of worked that out either, but...
Right. He was the brewmaster and distillery operator.
He took the barrels of mash from you, and he ran the distillery in his warehouse that he had tucked away by the docks, and he used the mash to create whiskey. Eddie purchased, with whatever money he saved over from the war, purchased a warehouse nearby that... I'm guessing how it worked is that they then moved the completed whiskey over to Eddie's for storage, just to kind of keep everything, you know, so it's not in the same basket. Separated things into orders, who's going to what speakeasy, you know, what whiskey's going to what speakeasy, and then what's going to the king. Now, the king, Connor Cavanaugh, who's called the king, Connor the King Cavanaugh, is the local Irish mobster in this so far unnamed town. I'm kind of thinking like Atlantic City / Chicago mix. For anybody out there, I guess, who really, really knows their 1920s cities, but it's... Think of a 1920s crime, gangster, noir sort of thing.
A bustling modern city.
Yeah, one of those.
They've got paved roads and everything.
Yeah, they got paved roads, and they've got a rural area with farms, and they've got docks. But Connor is the Irish mobster who sort of runs the town, runs the city. There's, you know, maybe some small street gangs like Killian's operation here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty peaceful. Everybody works together to fuck over the cops, but the cops, for the most part, are also on the take too. So there isn't a whole lot of conflict. And basically, yeah, so a good chunk of the whiskey goes to Connor, who takes it, he does whatever with it, he waters it down, he distributes it himself or sends it out of town to other people, but for the most part, your whiskey is going to supply the speakeasies in town directly. The prelude that we kind of had established before the first session was that Killian was fucking pissed. Pretty much.
Livid.
Murderously
angry.
Murderously pissed about some mash, barrels of mash.
3 missing barrels.
3 missing barrels, which this is not yet the quality Killian Kelly, the Kelly family whiskey that Mac would eventually distill.
Right.
It's just, you know,
the precursor ingredient
the
to
nasty,
whiskey.
the nasty fermented grime. But that's barrels of mash that will eventually become whiskey and become fat stacks of cash. So,
Potential profit.
Yeah, it's a profit that's just up and vanished. One of the boys, non-cousins, non-familial, working for the Kelly family was Cornelius something or other.
Hardwick, I think it was.
I think, yeah.
Cornelius. I gave him a very quintessential British name.
Yeah, Cornelius Hardwick, some 15, 16-year-old kid, I'm guessing, who's roped into things. And Killian, just in the prelude that you sent me that I read before the first session, was not cutting this kid any fuck. He didn't even care that this kid overheard him talking about how much he fucking wanted him dead.
Riding his ass the entire day.
Just like, things were great and good before now, but like, you know, these barrels went missing and I blame you. I know you did it. I mean, this kid cannot...
He was alone with the barrels the day they went missing.
Yeah,
he was the only suspect Killian ever considered.
This kid cannot do anything right at all. So the prelude basically opened with this Prohibition agent Daniels getting called to the scene of a crime because there was a body that they found that the mother of this person had witnessed, I guess, the fellow being shot. And the local cops called in this local Prohibition agent who was in town because the body just reeked of whiskey.
Liberally doused in it.
Doused in it.
He dropped a keg and fell in the spillage.
So then things kind of switched over to the whole Killian Kelly operation with him. They're loading up tonight's whiskey. Basically, they're about to make their whiskey run and deliver the whiskey to the Speaks, to Connor the King. And yeah, I kind of... It's been a while since I read it, so I don't remember what exactly, like, how things happened next. But you went to see Eddie to pick up the shipment. You had Cornelius with you, and I think a couple cousins, maybe one or two cousins.
The Tegan, who's the
matriarch, sort of, yeah.
The generational leader of the family.
And she's your sister, or...
Cousin. Eldest cousin.
The eldest of the cousins, basically.
Killian, I believe, is, like, the third oldest of the generation.
Okay. So you go to see Eddie, and you're having, you know, them load up the trucks or whatever. Cornelius is helping your cousins load up the trucks with the whiskey, and you're kind of talking to Eddie aside about how, you know, this fucking kid. I know he fucking did it. If so much as a goddamn bucket goes missing, I'm gonna put a bullet between his eyes. I'm gonna kill him in front of his own mom, his ma'am.
Right in front of his own man.
Right in front of his own ma'am. And I think Eddie put up some kind of weak defense about, yeah, well, you know, I mean, the kid's a good worker. But, I mean, if you're that fucking miffed about it, like, why don't we just, you know, nip it in the butt? And that kind of, you know, Killian sort of, I guess, had enough of a fresh night air to kind of smooth it over. Like, yeah, well, you know, I mean...
He considered the kid's got a strong back and he works quick. He practically loaded the wagon on his own.
Yeah, like, he's a good worker. Like, the bottom line is he's a good worker, and he's on notice. He knows, so it's not like, you know... a huge major deal at the moment anyway. Like, he definitely fucked up, but, you know, let's not put him in the ground. So then you guys go to deliver the whiskey, you make, you know, the local Speaks, and then you go to deliver Connor's whiskey. Connor the King, Cavanaugh, big Irish mobster. This guy, the untouchable, like, you know...
He's the main customer. He probably supports half the business the Kelly family does.
Yeah, he's buying the most of the whiskey. So, in the process of unloading the truck to give Connor the whiskey, this kid Cornelius, he stumbles, whatever it is that happens, trips on the sidewalk, busts open a barrel of whiskey, and just fucking, he gets it on himself, gets him all over the fucking sidewalk,
flopping
in the gutter.
in it like a fish.
Yeah, he just totally coats himself in the fucking shit. And Connor is standing right there. It's one of those tense moments where it's like, you know, this is a guy who fucking, I'm not, you know, an untouchable, I'm not a made guy in the mob, I'm you know, you're Irish, you're definitely not in the fucking mafia or anything, like, you basically depend on Connor for half your business, and he's got connections way up New York, wherever the fuck else. But he's been having a good night. I mean, he's running his casino, things are going good, he's probably made a fat stack, so he's, you know, whatever, you know, fucking dumb kid, what are you gonna do about it? Good help's hard to find. So he brushes it off, just, you know, refund him for the barrel of whiskey.
Right. Very good-natured about it.
So Connor's having a good night, and he's good-natured about it. He doesn't explode like some might expect him to. But still now, in Killian's mind, that's a fourth fucking barrel of whiskey gone.
Not to mention the huge embarrassment in front of a primary client.
Yeah, not to mention the insult. So I think at that point Tegan kind of the gears were turning her head. She could see that like Killian didn't explode about this, but he's definitely brooding inside. Like this is what's pushing him over the edge. I don't even think if she tried to defend him or say anything at that point.
Yeah. He started berating the kid and was like openly threatening the kid's life, and Tegan's like, whoa, okay, no, we're done here. We're going home. We're all gonna cool off.
It's all good. Everything's fine. And then Killian offers to take the kid home.
Yeah, gotta go take him home.
Let me hash things out. Let me talk to him. It's okay. Don't worry.
Need to have a talk. Need to discuss things and work out a plan to prevent this from happening again.
So Killian goes to the kid's house and sees that his mother is waiting up for him. I think they shared a drink from Killian's own flask on the way, and they just kind of chummed and talked a little bit. It's like the mentor, the boss.
Like they would do many nights a week.
Yeah, just, the mentor kind of mentoring, just the kid. And Killian notes, your mom's waiting up for you. It's kind of strange. Kid's like 16, whatever. And then
he was late.
And yeah, he's getting home late. And so then and then things kind of take a more serious turn. Because as Killian had said earlier, that one more fuck up in front of his own man.
Yeah, calling attention to the mother, waiting at the front door.
It's like a sign from God.
Yeah.
Like
the opportunity presented itself and Killian took it. Cornelius turns and gives a wave to his mother to let her know that he's home now. He'll be coming in a minute. And with his back turned to Killian draws his piece and shoots the kid in the back of the head, right in front of his own man.
And he leaves him there on the ground. And then the prelude kind of flashed back to Agent Daniels standing over there over the body, which is of course now obviously the body of Cornelius. And then Killian happens by, returns to the scene just to give a smug fucking look.
He's on his way from the farm off to the city, riding by, and flashes just the world's biggest shit-eating grin to Daniels as he goes by.
And Daniels sees this and knows, like, I can't fucking prove it, but this
is the Mick bastard that did it.
This is the Mick bastard that's ruining this town. Which, really in the scheme of things, Killian, thus far, is kind of small potatoes. No pun intended.
Right.
But Connor's the big fish. But as a Prohibition agent working on his own, Daniels has to, kind of pick his battles, and this is where he's decided to start. So then we go to the first session, which we have another player who's not here right now, my friend Pat, who played Thomas McManus.
Right.
And Thomas runs basically the biggest speakeasy in the city, which is absurdly profitable. Does
live music every other night.
Live music. The entertainment is good. I mean, it is the place to be.
The destination for all the socialites.
You know that most of the booze you're going to get there is the legit stuff. Brought down from Canada or wherever, or distilled right here in the city, but not watered down trash. Beer is beer. It's cheap, whatever. But if you want the good stuff, you go to McManus. McManus Manor is what he called the speakeasy. But he's got a problem. He should be making money fucking hand over fist. But McManus is paying protection to Connor the King, which is basically typical. Everybody's got to pay protection to Connor or provide something. In your case, you provide whiskey, so your protection kind of comes out of the price of each barrel of whiskey you provide him. But McManus is paying protection to Connor the King. He's also paying his staff, which he's had to cut back on because of how little money he's making. He's got to pay for the live entertainment to kind of upkeep the vibe of the place. And the problem that he's had recently is the Italians, the mafia, supposedly, not too long ago sent in somebody saying, hey, I don't know what you're doing here, what you think you're doing, but this is actually our turf. You pay money to us. McManus is not a brave man. He's apparently not even the kind of man who goes to someone to get what he pays for, because rather than going to Connor and saying, hey, that protection money I kick up to you, well, now I need protecting, he just tells the Italians, yeah, okay, all right, fine, yeah, I'll pay the protection money. So now he's paying protection money twice over to two different people just to stay neutral, just to not have his place torched.
Just to keep his head down.
Just to keep his head down. And, of course, as Prohibition goes on, the cost of alcohol kind of rises. He's not making even half as much money as he should. And he's an older gentleman. I don't remember what Patrick said, maybe 50 years old, somewhere at the point where it's like, time to get out of this game. I want to retire. I want to go to someplace nice and sunny. Well, tonight, I don't remember what it was. It's like the night before whiskey delivery or something. This Jewish guy comes in and tells McManus, I represent a special interest group up in New York. And McManus already knows. He's been through this 3 fucking times, however many times. And he's like, look, I'm not interested in making any kind of deal or partnership or whatever. And then the guy's like, no, you don't understand. This is our turf. You've got to pay us money. And for McManus, this is like the nail in the coffin. It's like, I am not ever going to get... I'm not even going to break even by the time I get out of this business. I'll be lucky if I can afford a fucking coffin to put me in the ground. So, but, he just wants to live. So he's like, listen, let me think it over. I gotta do some finances, whatever. Come back tomorrow night. Well, it just so happens that Eddie and I don't believe Mac was there, but Eddie, Killian, and one of your cousins, I think Cody. The 3 of you were bumming around, hanging out, playing poker, and decided, hey, let's go to, it's a slow night. Let's go to McManus Manor. Let's have a drink. So you guys headed over there. I don't know if I'm missing anything in between. But I think, you guys headed over there. You heard McManus bitching about his woes. He explained, as you were coming in, the Jew was coming out. And he kind of, bumped into you and gave you shit. And you held it in. You restrained yourself from spilling blood on the floor of your good friend McManus' speak.
I believe I did spit in his general direction, though.
Yeah, as he left, he spat on the ground. You fucking bastard. And then, you went in for a drink. And McManus is obviously in a sorts. He's in a way. So you get him to, bend your ear or whatever. And he explains his dilemma. And then you and Eddie took a side, had a cigarette. And you talked about, well, maybe we can help this guy out. Because you had been kind of thinking about, maybe expanding a little bit. I mean, you can never have too much slice of the action.
Gotta make more money. Got a lot of cousins to feed.
Got a lot of mouths to feed. I mean, you're not necessarily, making it rich either off the whiskey. I mean, you may be taking one of the bigger shares of the pie of the business, but yeah, you've got a lot of family. So, the 2 of you came up with the idea that, let's figure out a way, let's buy out McManus. He's get a chunk of change, he can go retire. The problem is, you barely got any fucking money.
Nowhere near enough.
Your third partner, Mac Delaney, that you grew up with, your childhood friend, I mean, he's never got any fucking money for some reason. Even though he doesn't have any family at all, really. Eddie has like $3,000 saved up. But that's not going to buy the shittiest speakeasy in town, let alone the nicest.
No, we were looking for, something like 10 times that.
Yeah, well, you sat down with Manus and you were like, what would, if you were going to retire tomorrow, if you were done and to walk away, what would be the minimum you yourself feel comfortable with to retire on for the rest of your life? And he pulled out of the air, he was like, you know what, $80,000 I feel like would be good. I feel like that I could live on. And so you guys came up with the plan. Well, here's what we'll do. This Jew's coming back tomorrow night. Tell him you're very much interested, but not only do you want to partner with his interest group, his bosses, you want to expand. You want to help them take over. You know the town. McManus is practically a brand name. If they finance you, if they give you the backing, $555,000 to buy out a couple of other speakeasies, and then buy some men to help take over maybe another that if they don't cooperate, give me the financial backing to move in, then we've got a deal. And the Jew kind of runs the numbers over in his head. He's like, okay, yeah, this sounds like fat stacks. So, good, yes, we got a deal. Now the plan, of course, is that he's going to go and he's going to talk to his bosses and try and get the okay. And set up a time and date to deliver the money if everything goes smooth. And then you, Eddie, and some other guys are going to ambush the Jew and take the cash. That you then buy off McManus, and he moves off to his happy retirement.
Win-win.
Everybody
for
wins.
everybody.
Except the Jew who dies.
Well,
But I mean, that's a win for you guys. That's a double win, so it evens out.
he was an outsider to the situation.
Yeah, who is this guy?
He just-
who gives a shit?
He just presented opportunity.
So the Jew Meyer Sherman later on calls back McManus and he says, "I talked to my bosses. They're very pleased. They agree. $80,000. That's a little stiff." Or actually, no. I think McManus didn't even ask for 80,000. I think by that point he changed his mind and dropped the number down because he felt like 55.
Yeah.
He felt like
Yeah, right
55.
around there, yeah.
55,000, that's a comfortable number that I can get out of these guys. So he's like, yes, they're wiring me the 55,000. I'll bring it to you, tomorrow night. So McManus calls you, gives you all the details, everything's good and set. Everything's in motion. The following morning, I think maybe that night as you're heading home, Special Agent Daniels showed up.
Waiting at my back door for me.
Waiting at your back door, smoking a cigarette. And he gave you an offer. He was like, look, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not like the local cops. I know what you're into. I know what you're a part of. If you work with me, if you give me something, give me some information, help me take down Connor, then I can, I can use my influence, however much that is, to get you and your family off. Killian had some choice words, I think, for him.
The verbiage made it sound... I mean, on paper, Killian was playing dumb, but the tone of what he said was very much "fuck you."
Yeah, like, are you fucking kidding me? Get off my property.
Not gonna roll over that easy, bud.
So then the special agent kind of left with a threat, like, I'm bringing the whole fucking thing down. So this was your one chance, and he leaves him. And Killian, sleeps easy. This doesn't worry him at all. He wakes up the next morning and then decides, I'll walk into the city the next day. So he wakes up in the morning and he goes to walk into town, and a really nice Packard pulls up, and it's Connor the King. He's got, his driver, he's got another man in the vehicle with him. He's sitting there smoking a fat cigar, having some champagne.
Being a fat cat, as he's
fat,
wanted to do.
Being a fat cat, as fat cats do. And he invited you in to give you a ride. And he told you that, you've got a problem. That is a little bit of his problem, but mostly your problem. A mutual friend, shall we say, came to him with an offer to sell him 3 barrels of very fine quality whiskey, almost as good as yours, for $10 cheaper per barrel. And I think we worked out, I don't know if this exactly works out to correct figures for 1920s, but it was like $100 a barrel for the good whiskey. And this guy was offering it $90 per barrel,
Right.
and willing to supply up to 3 barrels a week. And then he told you that this was Mac. That your childhood friend, your partner Mac, came to him to try and sell the 3 barrels of whiskey. And he doesn't need to say it because he doesn't even know anything about this mash and all this other shit. But you immediately put it together, that fucking mash that went missing, that was not Cornelius that took it. Mac swiped it, pinned it on Cornelius, said nothing.
Rather than feeling remorse over the innocent kid's death, Killian just, jumps straight to, well, now we have to murder someone else.
Yeah. Fucking anger, fucking outrage. To betray you like this. Over
Childhood friend.
a childhood friend, even. $180 of fucking whiskey. He's gonna stab you in the back for this.
For Killian, it wasn't the money that was insulting. It was the act itself.
The intentional betrayal. So you went to see, I think you went to see Mac directly or Eddie? I don't know.
Went to grab Eddie first because I was on my way there.
On your way there, Connor dropped you off with you giving him the assurances that you would take care of it, to worry no more, thanks for the information. And you went and you got Eddie. So with Eddie, you then went to go see Mac. And you're normal, palling around, talking, whatever.
Checking the figures for the week.
Checking the figures, getting the shipment ready. And, seeing if he's got, the right amount of whiskey and all that. And then Eddie takes out Mac from behind, knocks him out with the butt of his gun or something. I can't remember. However it went down, but it went down. Mac wakes
Crack to
up.
the skull.
Mac wakes up, chained to a chair. And of course he wakes up. He's like, "Yo, what the fuck is this? Like, come on, like, what's going on, guys? And, of course, Killian lets him know that he knows. 3 fucking barrels. Over 3 fucking barrels, you're making me do this. Mac doesn't even try and pretend. Like, he knows he's in deep shit. It wouldn't have gotten this far if it was just a suspicion.
He in fact taunts Killian, saying that
He really even...
Killian hasn't got the rocks to do it.
He eventually does break down when he realizes he's not worming his way out. At first he tries to give a story. He tries to say, look, over $180, you're going to kill me? I mean, my mother practically... You know, my mother babysat you, practically raised you like a brother to me. Like, we are practically brothers. I freaking... You're going to kill me over $180? Like, look, I've still got the whiskey. I'll give it back. Whatever, my kid's sister or something, his cousin or something was sick.
Yeah.
Tried to say she was sick. He needed the money to help for operation, etc., etc., etc. And he says, look, you're not going to... Just untie me, let me go. You're not going to kill me. You don't have the stones. Like, you won't kill me. We've known each other too long. And so Killian basically, you know, agreed to that he wouldn't kill him.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'll take care of your mother and your sister and cue Eddie to do the dirty work for him.
So Killian says that he's right, he can't kill him, and then Eddie unloads his gun into Mac's back. So ends Mac. Then you had other business to tend to, so may as well continue on and forget about betrayal. The Jew's getting ready to deliver the $55,000 to McManus. So you grab Eddie's guy Mo, your cousin Cody, I believe. I think it was just the 4 of you. You go to Eddie's little arsenal of weapons. Eddie grabs a Tommy gun. I think you had a rifle, the World War I service rifle.
I want to say the M1, a Garand of some kind.
It may have been. I'm off the top of my head. I couldn't say. We had it right at the time, but anyway. And then Mo and Cody grab a couple of 38 specials, and you guys position yourselves outside of McManus's, kind of, you know, just not standing out. And then finally the Jew shows up. Meanwhile, inside, Agent Daniels has gone to McManus Manor to talk to McManus. And he says, he orders a drink, and he downs it, confirms, yep, this is alcohol. And he starts to tell McManus, he says, now listen, my name is Special Agent Daniels, and he reaches for his badge, and I work for the Bureau of, but McManus is not having any of this shit. How many fucking times is he gonna be shaking, fucking...
Too many times, just in the last week.
The Irish mob, the Italians, the fucking Jews, now the goddamn cops are coming into it. No, fuck it. So he snaps his fingers, he has his guy Lou, that is like a son to him, his doorman. He says, Lou, get this guy the fuck out of here. I don't give a shit what he's got. Badge, a grenade, he's done. So Lou grabs Agent Daniels, who is like, you're making a big fucking mistake here. Like, look, I just want to talk. And McManus is like, I'm done talking. So he goes to throw Lou out. So as this Jew's getting out of the car with his 2 big goons, with a briefcase that you know is full of money, the door is thrown open, almost hitting the Jew, and Lou is standing there trying to drag Special Agent Daniels out into the street. Very unfortunate timing. Now, I don't remember, I think it was Cody, went half-cocked.
He jumped the gun.
He literally jumped the gun, and seeing the Jew, not really seeing the door being thrown open from the angle he was at, like kind of hiding in the alley, he steps out, gun drawn. You, of course, are trying to give the signal, fucking rein it in, stop, we can't. Right. Lou is standing right there, so is the Special Agent. But it's too late.
That's one of our future employees at the door.
Yeah, shit has hit the fan, so it's all or nothing. Eddie steps around the corner with the Tommy gun. Mo comes out with his 38 special. You chamber the round in the M1, and then all hell breaks loose. Lou, of course, by the skin of his teeth, as bullets begin flying, manages to fall back inside of McManus Manor, basically pulling the door shut behind him. Special Agent Daniels has no idea what the fuck he was just thrown out into. He's fumbling for his service revolver. I think one of the Jew's mooks went down first. He ate several rounds from the Tommy gun. I think between you, Mo, and Cody opening fire. I think with the M1 Garand, you put a bullet between the eyes of Special Agent Daniels.
Yep.
Is this too cold on you guys?
No, this is fine.
Does it cough?
So yeah, you put a bullet between the eyes of Special Agent Daniels, because I mean, at this point, you gotta, like, there's nothing else you can do really. They gun down the other mook.
He was there, and he had just, in that 30-second window, he saw enough to put us all behind bars.
He saw too much, so there ends his story. And then the mook, he eats it too. He goes down, and the only one who managed to get a gun out happened to be the Jew, who you put a round into the chest of, or I'm not sure if I think it was you. I think you shot him, but he managed to squeeze off a round.
I know. I took a round in the gut.
Yeah, you took.
Became immediately melodramatic about it.
Yeah, you shot the Jew. He squeezed off a round as he went down, and that caught you right in the gut. And you immediately went to the fuck. I'm dying. Like, this is it. It's curtains for me, Mo. Yep. It's curtains for
Lights
me,
are going out.
And Mo.
The implication was made by Eddie that Killian had been shot in the gut before, and survived it just fine.
Mo and Cody grab the money. You guys make it into the escape vehicle. Eddie takes a look at the wound. He's like, "You fucking cry, baby. You've had it worse than this."
A lot of towel up in there.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, what are you bitching about? Like, this is not bad. You just haven't been shot in a few years. So then they take you back to, I believe they took you back to your cousins, so that Tegan and the other cousins, they could look after you and tend to you, maybe get a doctor to come out.
They called a horse vet.
Called a horse vet, yeah, exactly. Someone who services the rest of their stock.
Right.
And, so Eddie, of course, now that Killian is, in bed, injured, it falls on him to go and take the money to McManus. McManus closes up shop right away because of the gunfire and everything, and, he's, fuck it, this is my last night. He goes to Lou's apartment because McManus has been sleeping in his own fucking bar.
Right.
Had to sell his property. He goes to Lou's, and he stays there waiting. Eddie shows up with Mo with the briefcase. And Eddie sits down, they pour themselves a drink, and Eddie sets the briefcase on the table. He says, yeah, Mo, Lou, go in the other room. McManus says, God, am I glad to be out of this, I'm thrilled. And Eddie's like, yeah, it's a lot of money for one man, you should be excited. He opens up the briefcase, he starts counting the money, and Eddie's like, retirement or whatever, God, I forget what he says exactly. Oh yeah, he's like, you're on to bigger and better things. You're off to a better place.
Right.
Yeah, you're off to a better place. And then McManus says, you can say that again. He's counting the money, and then he hears the hammer of a revolver being pulled back. And he closes the briefcase slowly, and Eddie sitting across from him has the gun on him. And McManus is like, he tries to reason with him. He says, look, that is a lot of money for one man. I don't mind splitting it with you boys. He did an awful lot of work, and
Eddie... We can still all walk away from this.
We can all still walk away from this happy. And Eddie just shakes his head. He says, it's too much money, Tom. And he puts one in Tom's chest, sends him flying out of his chair backwards. He stands over him, empties another round into his head. Mo comes out of the kitchen, blood over his hands that he's wiping off on a kitchen towel.
Poor Lou.
They grab the money, and they step out. And that is how the first session ended. So, we're going to play again tonight as soon as Pat shows up here pretty shortly. That's the recap out of the way, I guess. I'm going to stop this recording then. And, is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Nope.